On today's episode of Back of the Bird, we're pleased to be joined by NLL Commissioner Brett Frood. We had a really great conversation with the commissioner, chatted about the NLL Unboxed initiative that just came out, the announcement of the game in Montreal, and just a lot of other topics from his first year in the league. And we really want to let this interview kind of stand on its own. So very short banter today. I want to get to the interview pretty quickly, chat about a few more things after, but the main story here, Commissioner Brett Frood. Let's get into it. This is episode 99 of Back of the Bird.
Run, baby, run. If you want a sign, this is it. You're mad, you're magic, you're as hot as a gun. You want to play with fire, consider this. You'll chase the thrill if it's worth the hit. Cause you never ever wanna work for it. Take your first ride and run, baby, run. You got a spine of steel and a roar of thunder. Yeah, you make me drown, yeah, you're pulling me under. Your love is like an ocean wave. Don't let my love turn you away. What's coming is better than what's gone. Hit the road, chase the desert moon. Do you like the thrill? Well, I'm not into it. You're bad, you're tragic, you're a sonic boom. 'Cause you chase the thrill if it's worth it. But you never ever wanna work for it. Take your first ride and run, baby, run. You got a spine of steel and a roar of thunder. Yeah, you make me drown, yeah, you're pulling me under. Your love is like an ocean wave. Don't let my love turn you away. What's coming is better than what's gone. Write me down like your favorite song. Chase.
All right, we're back. Back of the Bird, episode 99. I mean, we got to go with one of the best owners in the history of sport and one of the greatest ones to ever play the game. No?
Also, Holden Catoni at Hopkins, I believe.
Yeah.
And in summer ball, he
I was
wears
gonna
99 for the Lakers, doesn't he?
I think so.
What's that?
I think he wears 99 for the Lakers, Tony.
There you go. Holden Catoni in the summer or Wayne Gretzky. I wasn't talking about. But we're, again, brought to you by Cottage Springs. These guys, they do everything for us. And like I said last episode, we're going to have some new launches, some new social media stuff kind of coming out that's going to be, just different winter things that they're doing. So we're excited about that. Keep your eyes peeled and go to your LCBO liquor store in BC or wherever you get whatever you need. Just grab those Cottage Springs. That's it. Whatever you need to get through the holiday
Wherever you
season.
get whatever you need.
That should be the new slogan of the LCBO. But yeah, let's just dive into it. Paulie, what's going on?
Not a buddy. Just, second week down at training camp, couple exhibition games, played in one of them, or scrimmage, I should say. So, again, it's always, I think, again, you guys can test. It's always nice to, again, start going against other people. You're in the drills. It's always tough. Like, you're going against your own teammates, guys you know, guys you don't know. But, again, it was nice to get down to Vancouver, play against some other guys, kind of get those competition juices flowing, and then
you only got to do one. You got the vet treatment, eh? Only one of the two.
So funny story. Quickly. So yeah, again, we had a game at 5, and then we had a game at 7 in the morning the next day. And then, in the morning, yeah, and then we were flying out Sunday.
I want to file a grievance on your behalf.
Yeah, it is what it is, but. So I think we went through the lineup the night before, and Patty was just like, we're going to try and get the older guys, veteran guys in the first game, and we don't really want to play them back-to-back. So it's kind of like, okay. I guess I fall into that category. Then after the game, there was one guy who was playing back to back, was on the fence, potentially hurt. So Patty Quill comes in and he's like, "Hey," and then he looks at me. He's like, "I don't even want to ask you." And then he's like, "Can you?" And he like went out of the room. He's like, "Can anyone else go?" I'm like, "I'll go tomorrow if we need. I'll do it." So anyway, the guy was fine, so it was fine. But yeah, it was nice not waking up at 5 in the morning, trying to like the breakfast place was open. You couldn't even get eggs before the game in the hotel. Tough one for the boys, but both teams grinded it out, so it was good. Good game actually for 7 in the morning, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking High Point alum Connor Robinson sticking a 5 spot at 7 a.m. That's I think our coach from High Point took a little bit of credit for that one as well, saying that the reason that happened is because the 6 a.m. practices. So we had a good laugh about that. But Donnie, how about you, buddy? What's going on?
Yep, all good. Back in Canada now for the next little while at least, if not longer. We also had our first training camp, or our second training camp, excuse me, first scrimmage. We ended up losing by a goal to Philly on Sunday, which wasn't helped by the fact that we ran the 6-on-5 play for me and I dropped it. So that would have been nice to maybe have gone to OT, but like I told the guys on my team, next time I use my catching stick. But yeah, no, it's good to be back. Really, I thought a great interview with the commission this episode too. We've had a lot of good ones. I thought Joel Watson was hilarious. Dutchy was super cool. I think we've had a really good start here to season 3, but really insightful. And just two things I want to say quickly on the commish. One, the fact that he took so long to learn and just like that attitude, I thought is really respectable, that he didn't just kind of come in and start mandating things. And then two, he asked us some questions towards the end of the episode, which I just thought was cool. I don't think you would see many people in that position do that. So, I appreciate that conversation. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but after like the rookie of the rookie of the year thing, he actually personally texted me, which is, I'm sure he did for all the other guys as well. But I just thought that was kind of a cool, a cool little note. And he just seems like a guy who really cares about it. And appreciate him coming on the show.
Yeah, we got some fun. This is a really fun conversation, and I want to encourage anyone who's, maybe sometimes listens to this banter, listens to an interview, and hears a lot of nicknames or different stories, and it may not be, something fully relatable for you. This is the episode you want to listen to if you want to understand, the direction of this league, the structure of our leadership, and the plan moving forward, and it's just really exciting, especially, for us three to sit here and have this conversation with the commissioner, for him to take time out of his day and give us the lay of the land. And I mean, how often does the public get full knowledge of what a plan is for a professional league, right? Like these are things that are typically behind closed doors. This is it's fun access that we've got here, and you might get a little sneak peek into potential couple places for expansion, or maybe talks of. So this is it's definitely something that's worth your time to listen to. Obviously, this has come out now after the announcement that Toronto and New York are playing a neutral site game in Montreal. Another big step for the league. And just as a guy that throws gas on the fire from my perspective in terms of this PLL NLL feud, it's an all-time timing thing that I adore. That we're doing neutral site in a new city after they announced their cities. No offense, Donnie did not endorse this message, but yeah, it's just fun, man. This is a really cool conversation. But I guess, is there anything else we want to kind of touch on before we send it over?
I got a few things for after, but I think let's kick it. Let's let the interview stand on its own.
Beauty. I guess quick. Yeah. I didn't even tell you what I did this weekend. We had a practice in a game. Same old, whatever. We're in camp. So,
No one cares.
All right.
Hey, no one
Yeah.
cares.
No one gives a
Yeah.
shit. I know.
Pass,
No one
pass the mic.
Yeah, like get this guy out of here. He's talking too much already. All right. This interview is brought to you by Lucky Penny Media. At Lucky Penny Media, we are a full service marketing company without hefty agency pricing. We understand your brand is everything to you, and working together means everything to us. You're more than just a client, you're a partner and a teammate. Our philosophy is simple: you grow, I grow, we grow. Here he is, Commissioner of the NLL, Brett Frood. All right, we're back. We are pleased to welcome our guest this week, a recurring guest this time around. Again, obviously been doing a ton of work with the league. You've seen him around, but again, we're pleased to welcome Brett Frood to Back the Bird. How are we doing?
Hey guys, glad to be here. Hope you're all doing well.
We are hanging in there.
Yeah, just
Hanging in there.
grinding through training camp right now. Everyone's surviving so far.
You joined,
Well,
Commission, you joined a small list of repeat guests on the show. It's an exclusive list. I think it's only 2 or 3 people at this point, so it's good to have you back.
geez, I don't know if I should be honored or that's ominous, one way or the other.
No, all the other guys are still doing really well. Yeah, everyone's good.
Awesome, man. Well, I mean, we'll kind of just jump right into it. What I think the last time we talked, part of the conversation we were going through was that you were getting into some coaching with your son. How did everything play out there?
Yeah, well, I got into it about 10 years ago, maybe 12, but I can't remember the last time we spoke. It definitely keeps me busy between coaching the high school team and both my boys' club teams. Thankfully, one of them is done playing clubs, so I've moved on to the other one, which will free up some time. But it definitely keeps me busy, and is probably my only hobby in life, coaching. So it's a lot of fun, though, for sure.
That's good stuff. So, I mean, we'll kind of work through, again, obviously based on our last conversation, we covered a lot of stuff, but I think it'll be good to chat about, maybe the different things going on. Obviously there's been quite a few announcements, some hirings in the league office. So we'll work through all that stuff, but kind of just, general questions leading up to this season. What has you most excited for the NLL season to kick off?
Yeah, I'm excited just to watch you guys compete. First of all, right? It's like that's what we all work for. We want to grow the game and certainly grow our fanship, but being in the trenches, you miss the actual competition piece. I'm sure you guys have actually been in the midst of it in training camp, but even from my standpoint, coming from the team side, I always loved, you work your butt off during the week and then you get to win or lose, compete, fight in those moments. So for me, aside from obviously all our strategic goals, growing fanship, and we can go over the kind of the gambit of all our verticals and our commercial pursuit. It's really, I'm excited to get out there, to get to games. Going to be in Vancouver for opening weekend, and lighten the season on fire to start.
How many games were you able to take in last year, and if so, like what were kind of like your surprises from those games and kind of from the league in general?
Yeah, I mean, I live and breathe it, right? So we just talked about when I'm not coaching or we're not, all working together collectively to grow the league. I spend a ton of time on the road at games. I think probably the cadence for me was every other weekend, kind of a couple times a month, and saw for the most part. I think I saw pretty much every team play in person. I didn't go to every venue, and we'll be kind of checking those off. If I didn't make it to a venue last year, I'll make it to certainly there at the beginning of this year. Vancouver's one of them. Didn't make it out there. I think one of the big takeaways, just traveling across North America to all of our venues, and you guys have lived it, so this will be no surprise to you. But for me, it was pretty unique going to a venue like Halifax, which you guys have seen how crazy of an atmosphere that has become, and pretty rabid fan base, but a bunch of college kids, right? It's like guys that that look like John, right? Just got out of school, they're ready to go. Pregame is at Halifax. They're drinking beers, having a good time, and it's probably going to be a long night for most of them, and they're loving it, right? And maybe not endemic lacrosse fans, just a bunch of college students. So pretty cool environment there. But then you kind of work your way to Ontario, which obviously all you guys firsthand know how interwoven box lacrosse is into the fiber of your culture there. And you go to a Toronto game, and you're there a couple hours early, and kids are lined up against the glass looking for autographs or for you guys to throw a ball over, and behind them is their dad, behind them is their grandfather. And I'm sure it's how you guys all grew up, right? It was part of family. And it's that to me, I guess, the corollary for me growing up was like going to a minor league baseball game. In America, you kind of get that generational fanship, and then you just go 60 miles south to Buffalo, and you're getting into my core stomping grounds, and it's a lunatic avid sports fan, and it doesn't matter if they've picked up a lacrosse stick, have ever seen it or not. They're going to throw the jersey on, and it was like, when I compare it to like a Halifax, a older demographic, and they were either wearing a Bandits jersey or a camouflage, and we're having a good time with their buddies, and just looking for championships. So three cities right there, and just three completely different demographics, and that gets me really excited for the potential of this league, because I don't know that we can really target to any sports fan in North America, and I feel like that's unique, right? It's that modern sports fan, and our product. I think I know we're all biased, but it's pretty electric, and it's fast paced, and it's physical, and then certainly the game day entertainment at some of these venues, has a whole layer of great stuff. So for me, just going to all these venues and getting ready for this year, if I had to take away one big takeaway that gets me most excited, it's just the diversity and passion of our fans, and knowing that we really can attack any market and hopefully lure in millions, tens of millions of folks over the next few years to watch our league, and grow with it.
I just want to go back to something you said there when you said kids that look like Donnie. Were you saying me and Dan look old, or what did you mean?
Yes, he was. He was absolutely.
You guys are looking good, right? That's where I'm wearing the hat, because I'm bald and I got a gray beard. It was just more knowing that he's a dominating rookie out there. So by nature, he's going to be younger than all of us.
Okay. I just want to clear that up.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you jumping on the grenade there and not bringing my hairline into it. That was that one felt good. But
hey, a couple of years, you guys will be right here.
Yeah, every time me and my brothers go home, we give my old man a hard time. He's rocking the George Costanza look, and every time we chirp him, he's always just says, "You're looking in a mirror, buddy. This is going to be you in no time." So it's around the corner, that's for sure. But obviously talking about last year, kind of moving into this off season, and the things that we've seen going on. I think one big thing, obviously, recency bias here is that's come out as the NLL Unboxed. So maybe walk us through, behind the scenes, how did this idea come to be? Maybe in your own words, talk about what the goal is with it moving forward, and how it's going to roll out.
Yeah, there's multiple layers to it, but at the root of it is just growing our game and reaching new fans. Certainly, we want to do that in strategic markets, but I don't think we're alone. This isn't innovative in that, building from the ground up and kind of being organic it has huge results, and we've seen it across many of our brother and sister kind of leagues. You look at what NHL's done, and NFL with flag, and you kind of go down the line. So for us, we certainly want to build avid fans, not only continue to do it in our existing markets, but be proactive in building it out across North America, and feel like getting sticks in hands is a really easy and good way to do it, and we can grow them early, right? If we've got 6, 7, 8 year olds that haven't touched this game and they're in gym class and can have some fun and do it within an environment that isn't too complicated, and has an easy curriculum, and they can go out and whip it around, and then that product is tied to our league. Like, at the end of the day, yes, we want them playing lacrosse, we want to grow them up the ladder, but we want them watching you guys on the weekend too, right? So some of it comes with the programming and the tune in and the communication. And I know you guys have seen kind of the community rollout, which is innovative. And some of the thought process behind that is to not necessarily have just this agnostic NLL badge, like I've got on my shirt here, right? That might be foreign to a new 9-year-old in St. Louis that has never played lacrosse, and it's like you attach the NLL badge to it. Well, I don't even know what that is, but you attach a cool logo with a bear and the rhythm, and have some decals going, and build some fun around it. And that all will obviously be tied to our league in different ways. So it's really about just creating kind of this fun community in these areas that don't already have a team. We'll build some merchandise around it, and it'll all tie back certainly to the mothership. But if we're successful in doing this, all of a sudden you've got, across North America, thousands and thousands of kids touching sticks, being communicated by us, talking about our league, giving them an avenue to watch it, and getting eyeballs on our product.
That's great. And I think I mean, especially from the team aspect, it's these individual logos and things like that you talk about. It seems like kids really grasp onto stuff like that, right? And they've got pride in their team. They're going to be wearing their stuff around, and then at the end of the day, kind of become a walking billboard for the league at the same time, which I think is a good approach.
Yeah, and if we're able to do it right, and this isn't necessarily going to happen in the short term, but we look at kind of the college box tournament that we had, and then you look at some of our junior NLL events, those type of things, as opposed to just looking at kind of the hotbeds and the same teams. The goal would be we now have a pipeline, and I'll just use, because I'm here in Charlotte, I'll just use Carolina as an example. Um, I'd love to bring a team up to the track, and they can be called the Carolina Cobras, and enter a U17 team in our junior NLL tournament, right? So now we do have a name that can be attached to it. Same thing with the college box series, right? Take all of our native Carolina kids. I think about my kid, right, that would love the opportunity to play, and we put a team in that tournament, call it the Carolina Cobras, Charlotte Cobras, excuse me. So I think there's opportunities too to utilize those brands in ways that foster growth for us at different levels along the pipeline.
Yeah, that's unreal. I think one thing that's like super interesting about the whole thing is you've had teams throughout the history of this league try and do that just in their local market, but you've never had it come from the top like you. It's always been, we'll expand to the city, and then here you go, guys, try your best. This is like kind of again putting the horse before the cart now. And again, like you say, we're going into a little grassroots place, and we're just fostering now with like cool logos. And I think that's like one of the coolest things I've seen is that it's actually coming from the league, going to different places, already kind of putting this like cool logo swag. And like you say, now you can attach that to so many different avenues, which is super cool. College, junior NLL, like whatever, like you say, you can kind of do whatever you want with it, but it's already like in there. And I think that's something that's totally unique and different than we've ever done, which is cool from my perspective.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and certainly the teams worked hard on it. And I think to your point, it's getting everyone on board and having someone leading it, right? And we'll internally have the team, and then you can have consistency across all the markets, not just our target markets, but as you said, our existing franchises. And there's some who do it really well. I mean, you were in one of them, and now we've obviously Dan's going to be there now. Rochester, right, has like done well. I'd say Vancouver is pretty awesome relative to taking on kind of their school program, and then there's different levels of sophistication and success across them. But if we from a league can pool best practices from like Buffalo, Rochester area, and then Vancouver, and then put our own spin on stuff. We're working with Quincy Powell on the curriculum, so really it'll be customized speed plus, we'll call it, because we're working with him on some nuances specific to our game, and I think we're going to want to build in some sixes influence to it as well. So I think that customization and then best practices, and then as you said, the ability to lead from the top, hopefully will garner success across all the markets.
Switching subjects slightly, one of the other big changes we saw in the offseason was the unified standings and the changes in the competitive schedule. What was kind of the focus from the league on that front? I thought I thought it was an interesting change. I think reception has been fairly positive on it, but just kind of curious from you and your office and your team, what was kind of the focus on that?
Yeah, I think it's a litany of things, and I don't know if I could prioritize them in order of what was most important. But I don't know. My first few weeks in the office last year, I remember a couple people saying, the questions about expansion and what's going to be our next city, and then the second word out of their mouth was, "Well, it's got to be somewhere in the West." And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like before we could even get into it. And it's like, when you, and this is not the sole reason, we'll start going down a couple holes here, but it's like, when you just think about expansion is one conversation. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself right from the get go that it's got to be here.
Yeah.
Like when we look at expansion, we want to have the strongest owner possible, right? Just not only financially, but business sense, passion, competitor, sophistication in how they're running their business. Like we don't want to be able to say we only can have an owner in these states, right? Like so we throw that in the bucket. Then we want to be able to go to a market that can absorb our sport. You guys have seen it over the years, and you go into some places, and there just isn't the volume or density of fans that can really take it where we need to go and put 20,000 people in the house, 18, 9 times a year, and as we hopefully maybe grow over the next several years more and more. So we want to look at the demographics and the ability to absorb. And then, so that's just quickly from just kind of an expansion standpoint. You don't want to be pigeonholed. And then we kind of go down the list. It's depending on the year. I think this presents us the best ability to have parity. And just when you think about who makes the playoffs, it is going to be the best 8 teams in the league. Because there's no excuses, right? It's XYZ team didn't have to play Buffalo 3 times. And same thing in the West, right? Everyone's playing each other one time, and then with the 4 flex teams, we've been I think very pragmatic and smart about those to continue to create the parity. And I feel like when we get to the end of the regular season, there'll be no excuses. It's like these are the top 8 teams; they deserve to be there, and so that's important. And then as we just think about commercially where we want to go and feel like we're unique versus many other sports. We're just a true North American property. So when I think about commercialization and telling our story, I just think kind of East and West mitigates some of that potential. And I think really the word continental comes to mind, and it's important for us to differentiate ourselves from others. And this gives us that opportunity. Talk about our TSN relationship. They love Canada on Canada. This opens up more Canada on Canada games. There's just, I probably have about 30 reasons why I think this makes sense. And I'm sure there's folks that can come up with a couple why it doesn't make sense. And you just kind of weigh, pros and cons. And in this case, felt like there was just so many great reasons that lended itself to heading in this direction that it was time to go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, very detailed answer there. My connection just was a bit laggy there for a second, but kind of touching on some changes or some things we saw last year. Obviously, the outdoor game was something that was pretty cool to see. For both fans and attendance, and then to see it on social media and pushed out everywhere. Is that something, games of that sort, maybe just different one-off events? I think the year before there was the Vegas, like a game in Vegas before Vegas got there. Is that something that fans of the league can kind of come to expect? Is something else rolling out in terms of kind of special games?
Yeah, 10 pole events are huge and a big strategy for us going forward, especially if we want to be the next major league and be in the same conversation as, folks like the NHL, NFL. Really gives us an opportunity to cut through the clutter and showcase our product in unique ways. Thankfully, Joe Tsai and his team out there were just obviously really influential in that outdoor game and doing, quite honestly, the majority of the heavy lifting, if not all of it. We certainly got behind it and promoted it, but it was a huge undertaking just logistically, and I think a huge success. Big fanship out there. I'm sure you guys probably watched it on TV. It was pretty cool. Awesome day out there. But for us, this year when we thought about the outdoor game, it kind of was, when we were weighing that, it was, okay, we potentially want to go to neutral city and continue to tell our unboxed story and find a unique way to do that. So that's kind of where we shifted our emphasis, certainly for this year. And it's obviously, we're really excited about that potential and the excitement it'll bring to the league.
I think, obviously touching on that and transitioning to it, it's a good little segue. After, this podcast was dropped, the press conference, will have already happened with Montreal. So maybe kind of touch on, where the idea came behind having, a neutral site game there, and how those conversations started, and then, the execution factor on it.
Yeah, I mean, we always hear the word expansion, and that question comes up. And at least for my first year, the focus has really been on our existing teams and learning the environment and getting the games and the litany of things, institutional knowledge I needed to gain. All that being said, we certainly want to continue to grow as we look forward, and that necessitates having conversations with different folks around North America and just kind of understanding their appetite for our game, understanding their fans, and really doing our diligence. And that really was the start of the kind of conversations with Montreal, is just casual conversations with the Canadians, maybe last spring sometime, where I had the opportunity to just introduce our league, talk about our product, and they were, I think, really excited to learn more. And as we thought about this potential event, and looking at an unboxed series, I called them back up and just asked Montreal and the Canadians and their event team if they would be interested in looking at kind of co-marketing an event up there. So the idea was born, and then we started getting into the weeds pretty quickly.
That's unreal. So literally just started kind of from like a casual conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the Canadians calling saying I want to be the next owner of this league. It was just kind of us kind of proactively speaking to them, and I'll be honest, a lot of people have just been gracious with their time and wanting to learn about us. They're hearing more. They're seeing us in the news. I feel like even just like our Unboxed launch, right? It's all about generating news and putting us at the forefront of the cycle. Not only to endemics but non-endemics, and this was just that scenario. It was just a great conversation. Left there feeling, they're obviously a great group, doing some special things up there. If when the timing is right, let's go back and talk to them. And as we kind of flush through where do we want to have a neutral site game, it was like, you know what, let's give our friends up in Montreal a call. And it was a couple more phone calls, and then a visit up there, and spent some time in Laval at their hockey game there, and we're moving quickly. It's one of those things. Sometimes you just kind of jump off the cliff. And I'm hopeful that there's a parachute on all of our backs. But like, if you just wait around, it's like we could have waited till next year. It's a lot of work. We're not an actual event company here. We got a lot of things going on, and it's just like we've got to go. We've got to run with it. I think this will be really good for the league. And so it was quick moving, and now we're running an event, putting it together, and pretty excited about it.
It's interesting when you think about it that way. So I guess my question, and it may not be fully sorted on this side of things, but when you play a neutral site game, I'm the first thing that pops into my head is all the members of these actual local teams. So if a game's in Rochester, your ticket sales crew, your event people, everything going on at a typical game day is locally sourced. Now, are you bringing in people from those teams, or is that going to be something that's kind of league based that you guys, like you said, are now kind of taking the lead on running an event?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll be honest with you, I'm still figuring out a few of those answers.
Yeah.
But the majority of them we have handled. So Montreal, the Canadians itself, have one of their entities is called Eventco, and they basically put on events at Place Bell and Bell Center, and they're putting on concerts, and they're putting on their hockey events, and they're going to be it's a joint venture with them. So when you think about just ticketing in itself, like everyone's going to be going to the Laval Rocket website, Eventco website, which is the Rockets on there, and would buy a ticket as part of their ticketing platform. It's Ticketmaster. So they have the infrastructure there. So like that's one silo that they'll oversee. And then, you think about turf in the, just like to your point, I have a running list of, I think I've got probably 90 things right now of like, who in the hell's doing this? And is it us, the league? Is it Eventco / Canadians? Is it New York? Is Toronto going to lend some help? I have a meeting Friday morning just to talk about the game day kind of entertainment. Who's going to be, that run a show. Think about from the minute a fan gets there out to the minute they leave, and it's going to be bilingual. So the majority of the fans there are French speaking. So we're talking Jumbotron to shooting T-shirts to national anthem to, player introductions. How does all that look? So yeah, it's a handful, but it's most things in life that reap really large rewards typically are a handful and necessitate work and energy, right? So we're prepared for it, and it'll be a shared exercise with all of the constituents, and hopefully when the guys that are on the floor get to experience it, it's going to be a plus effort, and then obviously it'll be on RDS, French speaking channel, and then TSN Game of the Week, and then ESPN Plus. So the majority of people across Canada and the U.S. will have the ability to watch this. So we've got to set our high bar for ourselves and execute against it over the next couple months.
Unreal. Love
Yeah,
it.
that's exciting. Well, if you need some in-game entertainment or halftime entertainment, we know a pretty good band that would gladly step up and do that for you. But you talked about, and it's a good little segue. You talked a little bit about just like, whether it's Ticketmaster, you've got the Evo Shield shirt on. Coming from your background in NASCAR, obviously corporate partnerships is a huge part of how that sport functions as a whole. How have you kind of used that skill set to transition it to, marketing our league from a corporate standpoint, and what kind of challenges have you faced when maybe dealing with companies that don't entirely know what our league is?
Yeah, good question. Having partnerships for us, both short and long term, is so vital. And I think kind of the common thought process is it's just revenue, and we need the revenue coming in from these corporate partners. But honestly, from my perspective, and I feel like I've learned this over 2 decades on the NASCAR side, is what's really important is to get partners that are engaged with us and have some type of authentic tie, and they truly, whether they love the sport already or we feel like they have the capacity to love it, those are going to be the most important ones, because it's, when I think about the potential for somebody to do a national commercial with our athletes in it, it's somebody that on a digital standpoint is producing content all the time with our league and players and telling our story. That's how we're going to get more fans, right? Like if we just singularly from a league think we can do it alone, it's fairly naive. It's really finding partners, and that's why the TSNs and the ESPNs are so important, right? But when I use partner, it's pretty expansive. If we're able to find the right partners that can be with us for a long time and kind of build equity together, then we're going to grow exponentially quicker than we would under any normal circumstances. So with that, it's really been a process of building out these assets and what we can actually offer for these partners that are meaningful. The traditional, when people think about kind of traditional sponsorship, you just think about kind of eyeballs, and they call it kind of dots and spots, right? It's more of the media buy. I'm going to buy a billboard, or I'm going to be on your turf because hundreds of thousands of people are watching. For us, and myself and the team, and it's really kind of building other avenues to activate that are unique and authentic. So I'll just use the example a couple that we've talked about. So Unboxed, right? So that's a great opportunity to integrate a partner that really think about all the potential partners out there that love community involvement, and they want to target kids and moms right in communities and that type of growth. Somebody can own our whole Unboxed program across North America, and then you're building content with the kids in the schools, right? Like, so these are real kind of tangible things. It's not just a billboard somewhere. We just talked about our tentpole event in Montreal, completely unique. Somebody can own an event that we're going to promote for several months, and then have this kind of dynamic show, bilingual show. So it's really building out kind of different assets that I wouldn't consider the traditional ones, like the turf, the turf or a jersey patch or dasher boards. It's different ways of creating content. And to your question of just like, how is this resonating with partners out there? I'll be honest with you, we're pretty early in that process, because it's taken, I'm a little over a year, and then we've got some new hires that have been here, several months. It building out this stuff in an impactful way that can live into perpetuity and be sustainable takes time. So we're honestly just within the last couple months in the marketplace, really in the marketplace, having impactful conversations, and they're going well. And I feel confident over time we're going to be able to be successful in bringing them in. But it's like anything else. You got to build relationships. You got to understand everything you possibly can about a potential corporate partner. What are their challenges? How can our assets provide solutions? And then it's just relationship building, and over time you can foster these partnership deals, but they don't happen in a month. But we're excited to finally have our assets and out there digging right now.
It's good stuff. I mean, great answer. I think we, with the step of the unified standings, um, I think the last time we were on, the idea of moving towards a more full-time league, obviously that's something that's the desire of any league to do, that's in our position. But is there plans in your mind to kind of slowly roll out and, maybe add games, every year, or make the schedule longer in terms of months, or is there any kind of consideration like that going on at the league level?
Yeah, for sure. Again, not something that can happen in a year, but we built out like our 5-year plan, and 5-year plan definitively has more games over that time frame. And it's not only just games; it's teams as well. And when you look at the ability to really grow enterprise value, and you look at media rights deals, you look at partnerships, eyeballs, spreading our wings across North America, it just necessitates growth across the board. And certainly having more home games in these markets, more opportunities to showcase you guys, our superstar of the league on TV, I think ultimately presents the opportunity to grow that value. So, utopia, yeah, we're in a situation where you guys are sitting in, whether it's Dallas or Denver or Rochester, you guys are in there in the market, right? Full time and getting paid accordingly and all in, and working within the community, working with sponsors there, growing the league, playing more games. And we've got an environment that can allow for that, and that certainly is a long-term goal. But it's I don't want to say baby steps, but it's pragmatic steps. And I think a lot of what we're doing now is just building the league and hopefully positioning ourselves day by day, month by month, year by year to get to that point.
You kind of mentioned like you had like a 5-year plan. Like when you came in, was it like, do you have like a 12, 18, 20 months? Like what does like the next 12 look like? What is 2 years? Like kind of what was your timeline? Like what kind of were your goals in a timeline fashion, I guess?
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
mean
when I
like
first got
sorry to like you don't have to give them all. I'm sure that's like again another
no,
100 or 90
but
things.
good, I didn't have them all. I don't have anything to give you there. I didn't have them. I was just trying to go day by day. I still am. I think for many of these days. But yeah, I think honestly the first several months I didn't sit there and put together like here's the plan. I didn't know enough.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, just kind of learn.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I've played lacrosse. I played lacrosse. I love it. I've been involved in it, but learned pretty quickly that box lacrosse, the NLL, this ecosystem was extremely foreign to me. So, one thing I knew I could check the box with is I was going to be passionate and something I love every day to wake up and be part of, right? So that hasn't changed. That was the easy part, which isn't necessarily easy for everybody else that's getting up in the morning. But I just honestly, several months of just evaluating, meeting, understanding. Still, right now, just like when you think about our governance, CBA, just gaining institutional knowledge. It's every day, every call I'm on, I'm learning something. I was on. I don't even know what the hell day is it, Wednesday. Yesterday I had a call with Reed and Zach, right? And love talking to those guys pretty frequently because it's just understanding their perspective and obviously which trickles down to all the players in the league. But it's not just that perspective; it's just then the institutional knowledge. This is how something's working, and it could be it's something as simple as talking about sneakers to meals, right? Just putting it in the whole deal versus just the competition side, and then we'll have back and forth, and we'll be talking about marketing and player involvement and partnerships. So it's just and if it's not them, I maybe have a call with an owner who's telling me what happened 10 years ago in this situation. So just a massive amount of learning going on that I expect to continue for years. So that's one piece of it. And so finally, I'd say probably after about 9 months, I was able to, okay, I've got a pretty good grasp on kind of the financials and the business model. And now we can truly build out like a 5-year plan. And so I'll backtrack one sec. We, of course, have an annual budget and kind of plan that had some strategy to it last year, but I started in September, right? So it's like, shit, the season's starting up and
Yeah, you're already
hard
kind
to
of behind the 8 ball, really. Yeah.
it's just you're kind of drinking out of a fire hose, but built out the 5-year plan, which we completed at the beginning of the summer, and then this year's kind of budget and strategic plan. Like the strategic plan is not just financial, but it's everything, right? It's the marketing stuff, it's the licensing stuff, it's looking at gaming, it's looking at technology, everything. I feel, this year I've at least got some stable pavement under my feet relative to that plan. So I don't really get into kind of 18, 20 right now. It's like we've got our annual plan. I've got our core goals for this year we want to accomplish. And then all of that aligns with the 5-year and is hopefully kind of growing to bigger things as we get going. And I've probably could give you 6 or 7, 8 of our core strategic goals, and then obviously each of those goals trickles down to hundreds of tactics. Then how tactically are we trying to achieve each of those pillared strategies? And I'll just use it like growth, like measurable fan growth, like that is a with KPIs, right? With answers and targets, that is a goal of ours, is to grow our fans. A tactic is a tentpole event, right? So we are definitively going to grow our fan base by going up to Montreal. We're going to have hopefully pack the place and have 11,000 people in there that maybe have never watched a game consuming us. And then being on the French language station there with our game of the week, feel like that's going to, hit a couple other hundreds of thousands. So tactically, are we accomplishing at least some of that, achieving fan growth? And I'd say yes, or hopefully, right? That's the goal. So, and we got to make sure that, we can't do 1,000 things because I do believe if we don't have a ton of people, we're pretty vertically integrated. I don't want to start half-assing anything, right? So it's like pick some things that you really think are going to be impactful, and then all in. Everyone's got to get their hands dirty and get the job done.
That's good stuff. I think and again, it kind of relates back to it. You jumped on it early when you were talking about Halifax and just maybe the different tendencies you saw out of the fans that were at those games. And I think it's something that maybe we've seen in some teams over the history of the league, and but it's been something that I think players have talked about for a while as well, is trying to create almost these grassroots or direct partnerships with universities in the area, because like you said, you don't exactly have to be a fan of lacrosse or no lacrosse to be entertained by it, and what better person to have there than a college student who is legally of drinking age to be having some drinks and enjoying it. Like, is that something that would be initiated at individual team level, or something that can be kind of pushed by the league?
Yeah, so I mean, from a league perspective, I feel like we're working hard and we are responsible for collective marketing and kind of rising the tide there. And global promotion of our sport. We're going to be launching our new brand in a couple weeks, which I think you guys will be excited about. And then we certainly want to understand best practices, like why are there 19,400 people in Buffalo, right, consuming the game, and why are there lesser numbers other places? So I do believe it's incumbent on the league to dig in analytically and provide this feedback and hopefully help grow all of our markets by key learnings, kind of Moneyball approach there for sure. But certainly the teams are left independently to promote and target their markets. And you just using your example from a university standpoint or local youth programs or high schools, it's right now the responsibility of the team itself to get in the trenches and grassroots and organically fill the place. And to the extent we can help along the way and provide those best practices, we're going to. Now, all that being said, we just going back to our Montreal event, we, the league, are going to get in those trenches. And when we think about McGill and some of the opportunities there, and then already understanding in Quebec from a grassroots level, all of the local programming, we, the league, are going to take the lead in making sure hopefully every human being that has touched a lacrosse stick or has at any point shown any keen enthusiasm toward it is in that building. So I think that'll actually be a good test pilot for us to just see how challenging it is. What are the roadblocks? What are the bottlenecks? Where successes we had in that program? And if we're able to pack that place, kind of what were the wins and the losses, and share that with all of our teams, and hopefully it's transferable to more crowds in all of our buildings.
Great. I work in the Aon office here in Toronto, and I'm sure that whole Montreal office will be in attendance, because I think they still think that they have no idea really what lacrosse is, but there's some intrigue, and I think that's the fun part about going to a market like that is and kind of being the first time being there in a while. It'll get some eyes widened and some people out there, so that's exciting.
Are you jealous you're not still on New York just for that Friday night after the game?
Listen, I'm not going to say you read my mind, but it's I've done a few work trips to Montreal, and let's say I've tested out a few different local spots, and there's a few that I think, if I know my guys on New York like I think I do, I could pick off a few spots I think they'll be hitting after that game, and they may be, if the game is a Friday, I'm sure those guys won't be leaving until Sunday midday. So that's exciting for them. There is some jealousy lingering around.
Just market research, Danny. It may not have realized it at the time, but now we know it's market research.
That's exactly it. I was just getting ahead of it for the league. I based on my market research, I absolutely approve of picking that location for a game.
Well, I was up there a couple weeks ago doing my market research, so I concur.
Those casual conversations started. Just doing some.
Listen, we're gonna have to, as now that you've been on a couple times, we're gonna have to get you on another time, and we may have to start our kind of off-screen negotiations to make sure that at least one of the three of us is involved in this next neutral site game in a fun location.
Yeah, it'll be easy to brainstorm them, right? It's like, well, so let me ask you guys. All right, so you each got a location. Where are each of you going right now? Next game, next neutral site.
We'll start. Hey, we'll go age before beauty. Paulie, go ahead.
I'm going somewhere hot, so I'm gonna go two places. I do Scottsdale.
You can't go two. That's not the question.
Hey, age, because I'm old, I'm allowed to pick two. I'm a little bit senile, so I can pick two.
Okay, go ahead.
Arizona, Scottsdale, or Nashville would be my two neutral site games.
Scottsdale is so. Arizona is interesting, right? Where the Coyotes are playing at that Arizona State arena.
Yeah,
brand new.
I've been down to Arizona. Yeah, I've been down there in the last couple of years, and it's just such a cool place. Like Tempe, Scottsdale, all in that little mix is just unreal. And now with that place, like obviously, you maybe want it to be a little bit bigger, but like, yeah, it's a happening spot.
I think I would go Chicago. That's what I would. I think I would pick Chicago.
For me,
Don?
it's Nashville, I think, but I'll go off the board because Paulie already took it. I'll go that new building that Steve Ballmer's building in Los Angeles for the Clippers that apparently is going to have 1 million bathrooms and big seats. I don't know if you guys have read about that, but
I like that, Donnie. You're
he's
thinking
got
of the
some like
fans.
spaceship building coming. Oh, actually, the Vegas Sphere. How about that? Yeah, I'm sure that's cheap to get in, to get in there to the Sphere.
We can make something happen.
Yeah,
I can tell you guys just out of there's a couple of those markets that have shown some active interest in our sport, but most specifically Chicago is a place that has when I say a place, it sounds like a city can provide interest. We'll call it individuals and the municipality itself. Chicago has definitely shown interest in our league, so would certainly be up there as a potential. Nashville is always high on the list.
I can't wait to
I
see
like
who
Arizona
Rochester
too. When I'm freezing my ass off in Montreal in February, I'm gonna come back to this conversation, and everyone's gonna be like, "Where are we going next?" I'm gonna say Arizona. That's where we're going.
Think about
That's
it,
cool.
right? During the waste management tour, you just have like 1 million people there where they go from the waste management to lacrosse, and it's done. Ready to go.
You might want to go. You might want to go lacrosse to waste management. Just speaking from my insurance background here, I think we want to eliminate all kind of liability risk. So I think
Yeah, I agree.
I think we might want to flip flop that.
Hey, the real reason Paulie wants Arizona is because he pushed it too far with his wife this year and took too many golf trips. So he needs to start tying the golf trips into something else.
I had to go. We had a game.
Yeah, market research.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question, and then I'll let you continue, because it's just hate to go back to the Montreal, but the excitement's there. So you guys are all kind of Ontario based, right? Backgrounds. So Toronto's playing in the game. So one thing we're you wrestle with is going to any game from a fanship standpoint. You want there to be competitiveness within the fans. Do you think the potential competitiveness versus the Toronto, Ontario with Quebec will play a part in this game? Like, so if we've got 7,000 locals in there, are they rooting against Toronto? Are they de facto a New York team? How do you guys see that playing out?
I think my initial reaction is that you're gonna have nobody outside of families or Ontario people that have traveled to the game cheering for Toronto. I think they would just immediately pick New York, but
I agree.
to cheer for. I don't know. That's my thought.
Yeah, me too.
So a strong New York crowd, with the exception of the families that come in.
Which I think
Well,
I would think so.
Super interesting would make it even better, to be honest. Instead of just like everyone kind of just cheering for everyone, it actually would kind of make it cool that maybe they're getting some boos or getting some heat from the local fans.
Yeah, that's what we want. That's why I was seeing what if you thought we would have that energy. And neutral site game, New York officially the home team. So you guys are kind of trending where my thought is you'd have a lot of teams gravitating to New York just because of that Canadian Maple Leaf rivalry and just from the provinces.
So I guess my question for you, this is logistically, and if it's not figured out, we can take this part out of the podcast, but whose turf do you bring in for that game?
That was on his 90 list.
I've got it figured out. It's neutral turf. Met with a turf company, and we're going to be laying down new turf in that arena, and
Wow.
with a fresh paint on it, and that was one of my visits when I was up in Quebec. So it's going to be a good-looking green neutral turf with league branding and certainly the moniker of our event. So pretty excited about that.
Awesome.
That's yeah. I mean, just small things like that, right? Is it turns the page from maybe that old league that we knew that didn't look at attention to detail and maybe just kind of tried to find the little things that they could do a little bit easier. But like, I mean, if you're a fan and you turn on a TV that's in Montreal of Toronto playing New York with Toronto turf, it'd be a little confusing, right? So I think doing things like that the right way helps. That helps even just like people legitimize what's happening here.
Yep, for sure.
Awesome. I mean, again, we've gone through a lot. We've had you for a while. Is there anything, Donnie or Polly, that we want to finish off with?
No, I think this has been great, Commish. Again, thanks for the time. I know you're a busy man, like you said. Again, we could probably keep you here for 3 hours, but we don't want to do that to you. I'm sure you got start checking off some of those to-do lists. So we really appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Enjoyed it. Wish you all the best this season. Look forward to seeing you guys certainly down the road. I think I might. Jonathan, where you play? You guys, where's your
We're in
first game?
Vancouver. Yeah, we're in Vancouver there first night. Yep.
Yeah, so I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, I honestly, it's part of the job I enjoy the most is getting out there and getting to either the shoot arounds in the morning or at the game a couple hours before the guys are in complete game mode and having conversations and meeting everyone, and it's important for me and something I enjoy doing. So look forward to getting out there, seeing you guys. Wish you the best of luck and excited for what will hopefully be our greatest season yet.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. We appreciate it. I know the fans appreciate it too, just listening to this and getting some insight behind the scenes. So it's we appreciate the access too, because I think that's pretty rare in sport. So again, great time talking, and we'll see you soon.
All good. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. What an interview with the commish there. Again, very appreciative of his time, the peeling back the layers to kind of look behind the curtain here and see what's going on in the league. It's really cool. And again, for, maybe you're a fan of Montreal that's just heard about the game coming to you in February. And if we can give you a look inside the league and a kind of a synopsis of what's going on, then I think this episode's a great one for you to have listened to. So we're excited about everything going on. These conversations, I mean, every time we talk to him, it gets me juiced just because there's just so many things kind of going on, and it just feels like we got the right guy at the helm. So, Donnie, I know you had a couple things you wanted to talk about after the interview.
Yeah. So first of all, I got put on the spot there about the expansion thing. The LA answer was stupid, so I'd like to take a do-over on that. I did want to just mention a piece of news, for folks in Canada. Nepean had their second bid to become a junior A team denied. Peterborough and Kitchener voted against it.
And boy, did they out Kitchener and Peterborough.
Yeah, they mentioned it in the statement. So basically how this works, from my understanding, is 90% of teams have to vote for it to pass. So one can vote against it and it passes, two tanks it. So just kind of a situation to monitor. I certainly understand there's economics on both sides. Teams have to pay to get up there, but from my perspective, it seems like Nepean should play in junior A. I would imagine you guys see it the same way. So just kind of a situation to monitor, and just hope it gets sorted out.
The opportunity they had here to piggyback, if there was knowledge of this Montreal game happening, there's potential for a team in Ottawa. Like there's so many times where we just get in our own way, and again, the economics of it, sure. I don't know what the cost of it. Like I would have no idea what to guess. Like, or now what that means in terms of like you're giving up every weekend, or you got to pay for hotels to do double headers. But you can't tell me that individuals or people that are running teams are now deciding that instead of them investing the time to go, play against these players that are from Ottawa, because Ottawa is producing fantastic players. Now these players have to individually drive themselves to go get to these teams, and they're the ones that are now on the shit side of investing the time, or investing the money. Like, to me, it's getting in the way of development. It's getting in the way of producing more players, more interest, more community-based stuff. It's tough. But yeah, all-time outing on Peterborough and Kitchener. And I mean, if I'm them, release why you did it. Like, talk about, like, okay, like, here's the reasons, like, it just doesn't make sense. And if one of your reasons is we didn't want to sacrifice our weekends, or we already put too much time in, then I don't know if you're the right person to be working in there. But obviously, if there's economics involved that I don't know about, sure, call me an idiot. But for now, I'm going to be grumpy with you.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to come on the show, anyone on either side of this, we certainly don't want to misrepresent any points of view. I chatted with Callum Crawford a little bit about some of the economics of it, because he's part of the group in Nepean, and so maybe we'll get him on. But I don't want to get into that now, just because I don't know it well enough. I don't want to misrepresent one side of it, but just thought it was worth mentioning. A couple other news items just around the league here quickly before we finish up. ESPN broadcast schedule came out. So 10 games across linear channels, which means they're on regular TV. Most of these are on ESPNU. They're all on ESPNU except for the very first game, or the first game of the year, which is Philly Riptide, which is on ESPN2. Going to have Brendan Glasheen, Mitch Belisle, Ashley Miller on the call for that one. Belisle, obviously one of the best in the biz. Hopefully we can get him back on the show here soon. Not going to go through all the games. Just looking at a lot of Fridays, a couple Sundays. Panther City's in there twice, which is obviously nice for me. And then the NLL Top 50 came out this week as well. So it started with the goaltenders in order. This is voted by the coaches and GMs, mind you. So in order of 1 to 5, it was Del Bianco, Dylan Ward, Matt Vince, Doug Jameson, and Aaron Bold. All the other positions are coming out in the coming days and weeks, so wait and see for that. But cool little news initiative. I think spearheaded by the league. These are on NLL.com. Adam Levi is doing the writing. Excellent as always.
I got a question for you guys on this. They're going to release top 5 face-off guys. Do you think that's strictly face-off percentage or overall playability of the face-off specialist?
I mean, that's a good question, but I'm gonna go with just basically winning percentage.
I would think
it's face-off. That's where transition and all that stuff comes. I'm just gonna say straight face-offs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would tend to go the other way. We'll see. I would imagine it's going to be Withers number 1, because he's essentially a lead at both. But I guess that'll kind of be the tell, is whether he's won or not.
Yeah, Withers at 5. So
Yeah.
Withers just off the list at 6.
I hope he listens to this. I got him at 5.
Yeah.
I actually don't have him at 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we covered a lot here. Is there anything else we want to chat about before we wrap it up?
No, I mean that's I think that's good, man. I think in the next coming weeks, rosters will get cut down, and teams will start taking shape. But yeah,
Could you imagine if Boston Levi actually does the entertainment for the Montreal game? That'd be fucking sick.
They're right there. They're in Ottawa. They might as well.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna send commission email.
I was thinking more Celine Dion because you got the bilingual, but I don't know.
Celine Dion would be electric.
That would be sick. It's all coming back to me now, just leading onto the floor. Oh, baby.
The 5 year plan is just to pool the entire budget for one party. Just
All right. What's your 5-year plan? Celine Dion to sing the Canadian
Celine
anthem
Dion.
at the game in Montreal. What's your guys? Did you guys have any other ideas?
Yeah, tell me a better plan.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to pass that information along. See if we can get him there. He'll be pumped. But the other little tidbit, exciting that he announced in a couple of weeks we're gonna have a little brand relaunch. I thought that brand relaunch was the fact that the NLL logo is now in French. That's what I understood it as, but apparently there's something else coming. So we'll leave you on that cliffhanger. But that does it for episode 99. Holy shit, the next one is crazy. We're gonna have to really think about who we want to get on for this one because it's a high pressure scenario, and now we're gonna run out of numbers to pick for the episode, so we might have to start back at zeros. But again, 99 of these things. It's been a couple years. I don't know, 3 years now. I don't even know how long it's been, but this has been a blast. We're appreciative of everyone that listens to this, everyone that's jumped on board, everyone that's told a friend about it, supported Boston Levi, supported Cottage Springs, Bar Down, whatever. We're doing the Grammy speech thank you stuff now, but we appreciate it all. And we're excited to chat with you guys for episode 100 next week.
Peace.